Okay, now we're recording. I learn new things about Blab every second. So Blab apparently can record, and this is what we're doing now. My wife was laughing at me. I should show you her doing social media over here. She's like, no. Computer. I think I might do. I'm even more tempted to do it now. And now she's going to throw her unicorn at me. Her stuffed unicorn. All right, so we're talking about SEO. Chase, did you have anything you want to talk about? Somebody asked a question. Being Mrs. Mom want to me to take a look at this site and share some thoughts. So I'm just going to put the site up. Chase, if you want to talk while I'm looking at this site, that might be cool.
Yeah, I mean, do we have a topic? Or
the topic is SEO, social media, cool internet marketing, nerdery, anything that people who do SEO and social media and are trying to get organic traffic, or even trying to make money online, are going to appreciate. So you told me some stuff about Facebook the other day that I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, kind of where I'm at right now is, I mean, I'm doing a ton of different things, but like for me, the big thing is kind of what we were talking about in the podcast the other day. It's kind of just staying on top of the lightning fast information right now. And what I've been doing is I've been just reading blogs, kind of checking out different tools for social. There's a ton out there. And I mean, one tool can make a huge difference. Like, for instance, I learned about Managed Flitter about 3 months ago, and I've been using that, and it's been totally helping me because what I'll do is I'll take a blog post that we'll do, and I'll pin it to my page, and then I'll find people on Managed Flitter with SEO or social media in their profile name, and I'll follow, I think, around 500 people in that day, and I'll get a lot of retweets from that pinned profile post, and ultimately get people downloading the podcast. So that's just one thing, just from a Twitter tool, that's really helped me, and also First Click, which is where I work. But yeah, I mean, right now I was just reading this Social Media Examiner post where he interviewed, I forget who it was, somebody big in the social media industry, and they talk about all the new tools that are coming out, like, oh God, I had it on my laptop. I actually closed my laptop so I could go on this desktop.
My cat's meowing. Catch keep going, Chase. What are you saying?
So yeah, I found one called Missing Letter, which I'm still trying to figure out, but it looks pretty cool. And then the one that I really thought was interesting was, where is it? There's an iPhone app called Chirp, which lets you record your voice, and then post it to Twitter as an embedded post, which is pretty cool. And I think that's on iPhone and Android. Let's see what else. There's this one called Do You Even List, which is pretty interesting. It puts together like a list of all the people that are considered like your top influencers and shows you all your interactions with them. Like I said,
is this on?
What's that?
What social network is that on?
Twitter. Yeah, all of these are Twitter tools. So cool. Here's the actual post if you guys are interested in it. I mean, a lot of these tools are kind of similar, which is, I mean, it's kind of just going to my point what I was saying earlier is like, you need to stay on top of this. And like the only way you can do it is by checking these tools out and like constantly, update your knowledge on the things that are coming out, because even just a slight competitive edge, people pay for that information.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Any edge you can get. I mean, that's another way of saying it. Back in the day, Google was pretty much the only game. And so everyone focused not only all of their search budget on Google, but their internet marketing budget on Google. Their entire business model was based on ranking in Google. Now, there's many business reasons why this is a terrible idea, of course. But just speaking to your point, in that getting every little advantage that you can get, Twitter has little advantages. Snapchat is just doing something really cool with geo-filtering, where you can, for $70 a day, you can get a Snapchat geo-filter for like Times Square, for example. There's cool little tricks in Facebook. There's cool little tricks in Twitter. If instead of focusing on where all the traffic is, or one set of traffic is, if you're demographically broad enough in whatever it is you do, if you can have multiple different channels, you can cludge together 30 people from Facebook coming to your site, 30 people from Twitter coming to your site, 30 people from Snapchat coming to your site, and then 100 people from Google coming to your site, suddenly you've got way more channels you can rely on. Suddenly you can make much more money. Now, being Mrs. Mom was kind enough to send us her blog to take a look at. I've been taking a look at it, and I do have a couple things to say about it from an SEO perspective.
Wait, I'll analyze it too. So you do that.
Sure.
And I'll start running
So
it.
I don't think I can share my screen here in Blab, unfortunately, so I'll just talk about it.
Yeah, I've tried. You have to use this thing called XSplit, and even then the quality, like it won't bring up the screen well enough for people to look at.
Okay, well, then you have to look at my annoying face. Sorry, folks. You can turn your iPhone around. Yeah, I should have done that. Right? So on SEMrush, right now, this site seems to be ranking not too well for wife, mother quotes, mom and wife quotes, stuff like that. It's a blog it seems to be a blog related to mom stuff, if you will. A brief look I took.
It has 40.
So
it has 45 headings.
45 header tags.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not a great thing. I just started the HTML. Yeah. So we're gonna stay. We're not gonna hammer this site, but we are gonna talk a lot about. Oh, I see level. You mean logical character formatters, H1 to H2s. Yeah. So this is a problem. So look here, what Chase was nice enough to paste in. Look at the chat on the right side. There's my cat yelling again. Where is she? I want to grab her. Okay, so here she is. She's, I don't know how old, 14? 15 years old, and she's cranky. She's the SEO cranky cat. There you go. Okay, she's like, I hear talking, where are you? Why are you not petting me right now? I need to get a door in my office. So, yeah, first off, so look at all these H1s and H2s here in the chat that Chase pasted in. You don't want this. You don't want this many level headings. Google has specifically said that will dilute the signal, quote unquote, for what that page is about. So in terms of your on-page SEO, you only want one heading, probably an H1 at the top, describing what this page is about. 1. 2, I looked at the speed, and the flight time is not great. And the start render time, it takes 5 seconds for this page to start rendering, and a total of 13 seconds from this test that I ran. Sorry, English language me no good. 5 seconds for the page to start rendering is not great, and the reason why is because it has over 1,400 DOM elements. What is a DOM element? The DOM stands for the Document Object Model. And that is the number of elements in your HTML and CSS that the browser needs to process. So 1, that's terrible speed for a 13-second in total load time, and a 5-second start to render time is a terrible speed for a computer, like a desktop computer, but it's even worse for mobile. So that's not going to be good for your SEO as well. Someone asked me, where's the hairless ugly cat? He's here. He was just here, actually, in the background. My wife was sad that someone called him ugly. You owe my wife an apology. No, I'm just kidding. So that the speed. So the speed's not great, and I'll put in the actual speed test here. So you can check out the speed test, and you can see the waterfall view. The waterfall view tells you exactly how long it takes to load everything, and then you can see how many elements you're loading and how many different images you're loading, and you can start streamlining down the design from that. I guarantee that'll have an SEO effect in the sense that users will like it more, and so you have better user metrics. And Google, especially for mobile, is definitely tracking speed, and they're very, very strict about how slow the site can be. In my general rule of thumb, I would not have anything less than 3 seconds. Anything that takes more. Anything that takes longer than 3 seconds to load is going to be a problem. So she asked, how do I remove my headers? If you don't know HTML, you're going to have to ask the designer to do that for you. So somebody who understands HTML is going to have to do that for you. And then finally, I was looking at the source of Mrs. Mom's blog here, and I noticed you have a lot of alt attributes. Now, what are alt attributes? So if I type in this side here, image source equals blah, alt equals this. So this is an image tag I put here in the chat.
And there's no sitemap either.
No sitemap, yeah. That might not. I'll talk about that in a second. I'm on the fence regarding sitemaps, but So if you take a look at the chat here, I put an example image tag. An alt attribute is that a thing that says this there. It's a little piece of code that goes in the image tag. It's not people say alt tags. The alt attribute is not a tag itself. Sorry, I've been teaching HTML since it's almost existed, since around 96. So it annoys the heck out of me when people say alt tags. They're not alt tags. They're alt attributes, and they go inside the image tag. And the Webmaster Guidelines for Google were recently updated. They said that you have to have specific descriptions in your alt attributes, but not to stuff it full of keywords. So you don't want to stuff the alt attribute full of keywords. And I noticed that the default WordPress template that Mrs. Mom is using here has just taken the title of the article and put it in the alt attribute. That is not what you want, because the alt attribute is supposed to describe what that image is. So if you have an image of a good-looking guy, you want the alt attribute to say good-looking guy. You don't want it to say buy my herbal pills now. Like, right? You don't want it to be the search query. You want it to be the title of that image. So if you're smart, you'll get an image that's related to your topic, and so it's a related keyword for your topic, but you don't necessarily want it to be the exact same thing. So the upshot here is that if you're using WordPress, you have to be very careful for a number of reasons, least of which, one, security. WordPress is terribly insecure. Two, for SEO, a lot of the SEO plugins are terrible. They were made in 2008, and they still think it's 2008 or using 2008 kind of SEO rules. You really should get a designer to pay him or her for the hour to go in there and edit your WordPress template. Make sure you have schema set up. Make sure you don't have any schema errors. Make sure you're not using the HATM schema.
This whole site is all HATM.
Yeah. You don't want to use HATM as your schema declaration, because HATM is for RSS feeds, and you're telling Google that your website is syndicated content. You don't want to tell Google that you're syndicated content. There is no lower quality content online than syndicated content. Please forgive me, anyone out there who loves syndicated content. But Google has, as far as Google's concerned, they have 40 trillion pages to rank. That's how many pages they're aware of on the web. They have 40 trillion pages to rank online. And syndicated content is the first thing they flush down the duplicate content toilet. So that's some suggestions there, Mrs. Mom. If you have any more questions, please, by all means, ask. Oh, yeah, Chase mentioned your sitemap as well. I'm not so crazy about the sitemap. I don't know, Dave, Chase, if you have a different idea, but quite frankly, the sitemap in HTML is usually just a place people spam their keywords. And
you wouldn't have it.
Sorry?
I mean, I just don't see why you wouldn't have it if you have a WordPress website. They're so easy to get.
True, you can automatically generate it. I would just caution you to make sure you don't put keywords in your sitemap. So you don't want a page full of like buy red apples, buy green apples, like highly commercial search phrase anchor text in there, because John Mueller specifically said from Google, it specifically said not to do that. And it said it's keyword stuffing, and that will be a low quality signal. So
also, there's only 4 backlinks, and I think they're from like social and maybe, they're not very high quality backlinks. So
yeah, so clearly you're going to want to have some offsite references. I wouldn't go buying backlinks. I would just do stuff that's so crazy good that people just have to refer to you and have to link to you, and even talk about you on social, and use the tool called BuzzSumo. I'll put it in the chat. BuzzSumo. You want to use BuzzSumo to reach out to people and on social media in your area and make friends with them and get them to tweet you out and refer to you on social media and stuff like that as well, because Google's watching those kind of things.
You don't need to completely redo your site. You just need to do some optimization in terms of your titles and kind of the direction in which you're trying to rank, because right now you're optimizing for users, which is great, but it's too much for users and not enough to kind of tell Google what your site's about. Like being Mrs. Mom, I don't know who's typing that in. I mean, unless they're looking for Mrs. Mom. But even then, because this is your domain, you're probably already recognized as that brand, and you're going to be found either way. So I would try to at least take out the woman, wife, mother, me, and put in something about what you do.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, definitely. I mean, telling people what you do, what the purpose of this website is, what the purpose of the blog is, would definitely be a great idea. So moving on here, so Mr. Wonderful, I wonder if that's Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank. I strongly doubt it. I don't think he would need SEO suggestions from me. Actually, I shouldn't short sell myself. Yes, Mr. Wonderful, if you're watching, you need SEO suggestions from me because, quite frankly, I'm smarter than all the other SEOs you have on that show doing stuff. I'm also very humble, as you can tell. So he has the art pillow. I went to this site and I love the design immediately. It's a very high, modern design. Let me check the HTML. If you guys want to talk a bit while I check the stuff, he has a canonical. This is good. The canonical is even the correct syntax. That's great. Now, here's another problem: is that there's this other thing called the title attribute. So the title, like if you look at like a tag like this. So we got a little bit of keyword stuffing here. So I'll paste this tag into the chat. So the title attribute is an attribute that goes on the anchor tag and on the image tag. It's not the title tag that shows up in Google that shows up at the top of the page. It's the attribute that goes in the image tag or the image tag or the anchor tag. I pasted it in the chat here, and I think that the template you're using, it looks like WordPress to me. You have some OG schema set here. That's good. Chase, do you want to talk about the Open Graph schema for a second while I look deeper into this?
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the social profiles, but I can look at that. So you were saying that it doesn't look like any OG metadata is specified?
There is some OG data specified. I just wanted you to talk about how good that is. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, so if I were to go in here and if there was a share button, which unfortunately it doesn't look like there is, Ebo, I would get Sumo Me if I were you and get some share buttons on the site just for one so I can test this out. But I'll just try to share it over Twitter and see if there's anything that shows up. But yeah, basically having OG metadata shows that to the different social media platforms that you have specific data you want to share instead of it just extracting your title tags and your meta description. You can actually specify really cool things like you can share videos and audio and pictures, specific pictures per post, which I was actually sharing with Josh about on the podcast that if you're going to be sharing a YouTube video, why not share it through your website with OG metadata and have it show up on your social media platforms so that when people like those posts, they're actually connecting through the API to your page and liking your page as well. So when I put in the heart pillow, it doesn't look like there's any embed yet. So maybe it's just... it's hard to tell when they don't have share buttons.
Yeah, so share buttons, you definitely want to have share buttons on your site. It's kind of, the rule these days, but I would put the social media buttons in the right place. I wouldn't have them in a place that's annoying. Also make sure you link out to your social media profiles, and your social media profiles need to link back to you in the website field. And you want to make sure you have an active Twitter, an active Facebook, an active Pinterest or Google Plus or whatever you're using. Because Google, there's really good evidence to suggest that Google, I have correlation evidence to suggest this. Google has basically admitted it to me. You want to have robust, organic, highly used social media profiles that you link to the way the authorship tag used to work. And then your social media profiles in the website field, you put your website and you link back on the index page, if not every page. Because then Google will use that as a signal. If they see you got a lot of action on your social media, Google will use that as a signal, and they'll give you, that's like an external signal. They will give you a boost on your site for that. No, so I was talking about the title attributes. So
I got something. So on if you go to developers.facebook.com/tool/debug, you'll see like you can scrape information from like posts or websites and see what their OG data is actually displaying. And right now for that post, or for the post on the heartpillows.com about the skull pillow, which is it looks like it's a video of the skull pillow. I think if right now it's a picture, but if you were to actually get a plugin like SSO Pro or Social Media Warfare, you could actually share it as a video. So that's just an example of kind of what I was saying earlier. Like that would more likely get you more interactions and help grow your YouTube channel, that kind of thing, than just sharing a picture with a post.
Yeah, definitely. And so let me just finish this point about title attributes. So just like the alt attributes, you don't want to stuff those full of keywords. You don't want to stuff the title attributes full of keywords either, because John Mueller and Google has specifically said this is keyword stuffing, has specifically gone on rants about how not to stuff keywords in there. And unfortunately, this site does have some keywords. Mostly their brand, so it's not that bad. So I'm just using this as an example. But in there, so you don't want to stuff keywords in there. You have to watch your WordPress installations again, because sometimes they'll automatically do that. I also put the Art Pillow in the speed tester again, and they have a much better speed. So they're getting their first byte in under 0.34 seconds. So that's great. And the total load time is 4 seconds. So this is a great example. If you guys go to that site, you'll see that it's a really nicely designed, modern design with huge, beautiful, big pictures of their pillows. But even though it's highly beautiful with huge images, it loads super fast, and that's exactly what you want. Great job, Mr. Wonderful. I cannot stress enough how good of a job that was and how good that is. There's a
Yeah, he just cut out.
We lost him. I'm sure he'll be back.
Well, before we lose everybody, basically, I was going to also say that the title tag's great because it mentions modern furniture and home decor. Maybe you want to even specify that to a location because you might be able to rank faster for that than trying to basically rank for a very, very competitive keyword internationally. Another thing is that there's no H1 tag. And the H2 tag, I think, is actually an alt tag, so from a picture. And then there isn't really much content on this page. So if I was Google and I was reading this page, I would really just be kind of seeing the pictures and the links. And if I were you, I would put some text on here kind of explaining what this site's about and what people are going to be basically getting out of this site. And also, I would put your main keywords in italic and bold, which it doesn't look like there's anything for that right now. Dave?
Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking on the meta level here for a little bit, looking at one of the questions that I think Josh may have answered in the chat. And it comes down to both questions that I see here. The first one is, Josh, you talk about the importance of keywords in the title, yet for instance, best coffee in Seattle, the number one is a page with the title, where to drink coffee in Seattle right now, May 2015, Peters, Seattle. The other question is, it's being recommended not to put the share buttons because people won't subscribe to the site. Do you agree? I have social share buttons, but not as many subscribers. And to both of those, I think there's something core to Google that Eric Schmidt said in 2008 when he was CEO of Google, that the internet's becoming a cesspool and brands clean up the cesspool. And what people, and sometimes me too, looked at was, well, that means big brands. But it has come to mean branding. I would swap that word brands with branding, and personal branding is a very powerful force. For example, right now in my local market, if you type in SEO Dave, my website comes up with map results because of citations. Now, that's not a benefit to, like, I don't get traffic because of that I know, but what it's doing is strengthening my personal brand. All those little trickles become rivulets, and those rivulets become streams, and they become a river. That branding signal, you don't get a direct reward most of the time, but I think it's so important that you do engage in personal branding. And it seems like a waste. Intuitively, it seems like, well, I'm just spinning my wheels. I should be trying to rank for keywords. But the personal branding means that when you do show up, you have this very strong presence.
Your personal brand is a keyword, right? Your personal brand is a keyword.
Absolutely. You want to get people searching for Josh Bachynski, Chase Reiner, Dave Keys. Those are what they should be looking for, because there's something valuable in you that you become the secret, the shortcut, the opportunity. It's you yourself, and that's really where the leverage is.
Dave, you're showing for SEO packages. That's pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah. See, I don't even hardly look for that stuff. I just try to make sure that I've got some value to give to my clients, and my website's in transition because of that shift. The funny thing is, the more I change my website toward branding, the more Google gives me some of that stuff I'm not looking for.
Yeah, and so keep in mind that in 2016, the new link is brand searches. And so they are directly tracking brand searches. Google has been saying for years now, you need to have a short, memorable brand. Kitschy.fun is much better than emd.expensive, right? You don't want to buy the $50,000 exact match domain anymore unless it's going to make people click on it. It's really more about brand searches and people remembering your brand and searching you out and clicking on your result and showing that they're satisfied. So also, Mrs. Mom asks, and we were just talking about her blog, that it's not recommended to put share buttons on the site because you won't get subscribers. I would put share buttons on pages for them to share, like interesting blog posts. I would put subscriber buttons in other places, maybe on the same page or on the index page. Getting subscribers is a great idea, of course. You want to build up your mailing list. You want to build up your subscriber lists on whatever social network. But for the SEO benefit, you definitely want to have, if you know you're going to knock it out of the park with some article, then yeah, you should have a share button on that because that's a good signal that you're going to get. But if you don't think you're going to get a lot of shares, then just making sure you have a beefed up social media presence, and then link, as I was saying before, link your index page to your social media presence, your social media presence back to your index page. And that's definitely a ranking signal for Google.
Yeah, that's the great thing about Sumo Me is they have you have the ability to specify which links you want to have your share buttons on, and you can also specify they have a welcome mat or even a pop-up newsletter subscribe app that I actually prefer the welcome mat more times. And you guys probably know what a welcome mat is. It's basically when people hit the site, instead of them waiting for a pop-up, it's the first thing they see, and it's just to subscribe here. And I did SEO for this game that's really popular right now, and I ranked number 1 for one of the queries for it. And I have in the past month over 100 subscribers just from that welcome mat, and I only do it for 2 posts.
Sweet. So people are asking, will we review more sites? Yeah, definitely. Put a /Q and then you can put your site so I can see it in the questions there. Or if you have a question, put /Q and then ask the question. No quotations, just /Q and then ask your question, and it'll show up in the questions, and I can ask it, I can answer it, or whatever. You know what I mean.
I'll pitch in for the Miss Mom question if I could.
Yeah.
And maybe you're doing that, but I would make an offer for that subscriber. It's something of value enough to get them to give you an email address that they can only get if they sign up. And it's, just shift over from, what buttons are going to make me get more subscribers to give them something of value for the email address, because that's valuable to them. That's their privacy. That's their personal space, and you're asking to step into it. So offer something that they find it worthy of going ahead and sharing that with you. I
don't know if they're going to start a dance number for us down there. Oh no, they're all leaving. Yeah, I thought we were going to get an impromptu dance number going there or something. That's a good point, Dave. Thank you very much. So let me see here. What are the questions here? So Tim asks, do you think buying mentions and references will become big? We know that buying links is a no-no, but buying mentions and references are okay, and they positively influence ranking. It seems like everyone would be going for this then, since they wouldn't get whacked by Google. That's a good question, Tim. I think that text mentions of your URL just in text, mentions of a brand in text, in comments and in blogs and in social media, and things related to your topic that are also very popular on authority sites. I definitely think this helps you out. John Mueller has mentioned recently that it does help you out. It doesn't have a direct ranking bonus as far as he knew. He always says that, as far as I know. it doesn't have a direct ranking bonus. Of course, he doesn't know all the ranking factors. He only knows the main algorithms because he troubleshoots and diagnoses the main algorithms. If the SEO engineers at Google decide to make text mentions or no-follow links give a little bit of page rank, they're not going to tell John Mueller. They don't tell anybody for that. So I think it does have a direct ranking bonus. I've got a site with absolutely no links. It has 0 links, and it is ranking for highly competitive queries that have impressions of around 20,000 impressions a month for each search query. So that's a highly competitive query, and it has, I'm telling you, it has 0 links. You can check out my 2015 video. I'll put it here in the chat, 2015 SEO, or was it SEO 2015? I can't remember. If that doesn't go anywhere, I don't think that goes anywhere. No, it doesn't. I can't remember what it was. It's from 2015. I can't remember. Josh 2015. That's what it was. The second link. There we go. I give actual screenshots, and I show that website that's ranking with absolutely 0 links. And because one of the things it has is it has a lot of these text mentions that I was talking about. So, but the second point of Tim's question there is, since it's safe now to do it, the answer is yes, it is, and it probably will continue to be, because Google now is another good thing about Google being so tight-lipped about the ranking signals. Like they admitted back in the day that, yeah, get links, it's a ranking signal, do it. And they did that because they wanted us to go buy links and make this semantic web that they could therefore then rank. Without links, their link-based search engine was useless, right? So we helped them out by buying links. But then we got a little too greedy, we SEOs, and we started ranking millions of pages with crappy quality, and people started to notice and got annoyed, right? So my point is that now Google is, because of this, Google is very tight-lipped about all the ranking signals. They won't admit any ranking signals. And so the benefit to that is that they probably won't have a very public kind of demotion algorithm. They're just going to rank on signals, and they're moving towards artificial intelligence anyway. Rank Brain is the new ranking signal, the new ranking algorithm. And they're probably not going to have any more penalties, hopefully. They're because if they make something a penalty, they make us aware that it's a ranking signal, right? So hopefully, I hope they're not going to have any more penalty type of algorithms. They're just going to, run their experiments, see what ranks sites better, and then use that as a signal. And if you pay really close attention to what they say and what they're doing, and you run your own SEO experiments, you'll be able to take advantage of that. What do you guys think about that? Dave, Chase?
I mean, it's pretty accurate.
Great. Because it's accurate, it's true. Okay, I'll go to the next one here. Okay, so here's another site that someone wants us to take a look at. It's been live for 6 months, and it's not indexed by Google yet. Okay. Well,
I'm looking at that right now, Josh.
Okay, fantastic.
It looks like maybe there's a little structure and not any content.
Okay.
And like you said, Google's aware of 40 trillion pages, so there needs to be a reason to rank or to index this. And they probably come by, seen it, and like, well, it's not ready.
Okay, so this is very
that's my initial take.
This is very interesting. I'll paste in my search result there. I did a site colon search for this. And you're right, the site isn't indexed by Google, but it is indexed by Google. For some reason, only the PDF files on this site is indexed by Google. So that's very interesting. I don't know why that would be. I've never seen it before. So
that's interesting.
Let me very quickly check the site here. Some basic SEO stuff. It's been there for 6 months. So if I go to the site, I get the site here. It's got a very interesting design. I don't know if it's using Ajax. If this person wants to let us know in the chat if it's using Ajax or not, because I see some what looks like Ajax, could be Ajax. Let me check it out.
The title has a hashtag net_management.
Yeah.
Is there like a disallow going or something?
I'm looking for that right now, actually. It's got no robots text. Okay, I was wondering if you had roboted it out. It doesn't seem you have. The HTTP is 200, response 200, so that's good.
It says robots text file is using disallow directive, but it's empty. This means the whole website can be crawled by search engines.
Okay, that's not good. Let me read it manually. Robots.text. Yes.
Have you tried to fetch and render?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to see it from a mobile site tester, and it's not showing anything from mobile. And usually, even if it's not responsive or doesn't use media queries, at least you still be able to see the site. But I'm not seeing anything. So I would try to go to your webmaster tools and fetch and render this site and see if you can see anything.
Yeah, so it's allowing all robots to complete access, so that's fine. The robot text is fine. When the robots text has a disallow like this, I'll paste it into the chat. Sorry, I have to turn off my SEO thing I started here. When you have this in the robots text, that's fine. You're saying disallow nothing, so allow everything, right? Is what you're saying. If it was this with a slash, that would tell it to disallow to not crawl every single directory on the site, and that would be bad. But because it's not that, that's good, so that's fine. So I'm trying to figure out why this site is not showing up in Google. I think the reason is because you have this interesting design. Like if you go to this site, it looks like some kind of Flash-based design or some kind of Ajax-based design. And it's an interesting design visually, but I don't think that Google can crawl it. And so I'm going to search. Yeah, if I do this search here, let me paste this into the chat so you can see what I found. So if I do this search here, this is some text off of your site. Let me paste this into the chat. If I do this search here, this is some text on your site. Google can't read your site because I did a search for a random sentence in quotations. Google can't crawl this site. So I think it's because of your design. It's a very visually interesting design, but I don't think Google can actually read this site. So I think that's the problem. You would want to get an SEO to do a deeper check, and you might want to you might have to redesign the thing because it doesn't look like Google can read it right now. I didn't find any no index or anything like that. But I think this is all Ajax, and I don't think Google can read this thing.
Josh, I did it. It's the same thing. I took a random sentence in quotes and searched it, and I got a result, but it doesn't have the sentence I searched in the results. It just has the homepage.
Yeah, another thing is that all of these links that are going to content have the file path hashtag.
Yeah.
Hashtag explanation mark, and the ones that don't, the ones that have /startupquestions.pdf, it's indexing, and I think it's because Google doesn't want to believe that this file path is true, is real.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I saw that.
I believe that hash bang. I believe that's Ajax. That's being generated by Ajax. And he says here that he redirects from mobile to a WordPress site. Yeah, so I mean, you really got to take a look at your site architecture and see why Google can't crawl it. I think it's because you've got some Ajax stuff or some architecture thing going on.
I mean, even if you were to take these buttons, like a few SEOers, and make it link to an actual link, so that it would, not an actual like netmanagementllc.com/whatever the actual file path is, I think that you could actually index it that way if it was an actual page. But it looks like it's I've never even seen anything like this.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an architecture problem going on there. So Google it's very interesting what Google can crawl there and what Google can't. So it's getting part of your site, but because it's Ajax, it can't read the whole thing. And so it's very interesting what decisions they're making there. It might be an interesting site just to do tests on, like how much of Ajax can Google crawl, and it might be interesting for some purposes later for people who run affiliate sites and things like that. But okay, and so let's move on to the next question here. If you, by the way, if you just tuned in recently, we're doing free SEO audits, giving free SEO advice. We're talking social media, cool tips and tricks in SEO and social media and stuff like that. So by all means, put a question, do the /Q and put a question so I can see it on the left side here, because the chat sometimes is hard to pick out a question here. So the next question here, Tim asks another question. He says, any speculation why Matt Cutts took a leave of absence? Do you think he'll be back? What do you guys think about that? I have some definite views on this, given that I had a private meeting with him a few months before he quit. What do you guys think about this?
I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah, they're just going to be quiet and let me answer.
You guys have to remember that I've been doing SEO for like the past year and a half, so I wasn't really in on the whole Matt Cutts scene. Right. Yeah. That's actually that's a fascinating thing for you to say. Just that. It's like, it's like you're a millennial. You don't know what Seinfeld is. You don't know what any 90s shows are. So I'm getting old. And yes, I'm back in the day. There used to be a person named Matt Cutts, and Matt was the SEO lead for Google. Yeah. So So for those of you who don't know, maybe I need to say this. Matt Cutts used to be the lead for the web spam team. Him and Amit Singhal shared an office. Amit Singhal used to be the head of search at Google. Amit Singhal has also recently been replaced by John Gianandre, who used to be their head of AI. So that is that should tell you alone how things are changing at Google. Their former head of artificial intelligence, the guy who was the team lead for RankBrain, is now the head of the entire search department for Google. Yeah, he's replaced Amit Singhal. Wasn't it that the guy who was actually the head of before he left, where this guy's now taking his position, wasn't he also in the AI before he got to that position?
Which guy?
I don't know. His name's really hard to pronounce. The guy who just left.
Amit Singhal?
I don't know.
Yeah, Amit Singhal. He's good at SEO. He's good at SEO. He doesn't know the historical Google people, which is fine. I mean, whatever. So Amit Singhal, he was the head of search since like 2000, 2001, something like that. He rewrote the entire Google algorithm in 2001, and then in June 2013, he was the head of search when they rewrote the Google algorithm again, when they released something called Hummingbird. A lot of people don't know this or remember this, that in 2013, for June, they rewrote the Google algorithm, and it was called Hummingbird, and that is the basis of RankBrain as well. Hummingbird is the algorithm that very quickly does database queries and makes entity databases and goes from your search query to the database and brings it back. And RankBrain is the artificial intelligence that kind of sits on top of Hummingbird and ranks sites based on these factors on searches and things like that.
Yeah. I think that the departure of Matt, and especially what happened after, which was that they didn't really replace Matt with another guy in the same position. Matt just left or took his leave. And typical of Google, when they are done with something with people, just like you were talking about before, buy links, well, no, don't buy them anymore. We're done with you. And then it was authorship. And now we can figure out who's the author ourselves. We don't need you anymore. And this is very typical. Part of their business model is we'll engage people, and when we don't need them, we'll just stop talking to them. And I think that's what happened with Cutts. Was people would call in with questions and say, well, I put these keywords in my domain, and Matt would patiently say, well, first of all, let's try not to stuff keywords, and here's what you do about this. And I think it got to a point where, coupled with other things, but there was more and more abuse and arguments and that kind of like trolling with Matt, and he got tired of it and said, well, it's time for a break. And Google said, that's okay. We don't really need to talk to those people anymore anyhow. They can figure it out some other way, and they can use the resources we provide. We're done. Thanks. Good night.
Yeah, I would have to agree. When I met with him in SMX West in March of the year he left, it was a few months before he left, he did speak to me about the trials and tribulations of running the web spam team. And he indicated to me that, he's like, kind of like, Josh, you don't know how much I hold these people back. and he indicated to me that there was a lot of people who wanted to be a lot more mean to websites and to webmasters and to people breaking their rules, or even people getting close to breaking their rules. Yeah, so I don't think he'll ever be back. He was replaced secretly behind the scenes. Certain people in the SEO industry know who the secret head of web spam is, like Barry Schwartz, for example, but they won't admit it because they don't want to lose their position with Google. So, but you're right, Dave. He wasn't replaced from a public relations standpoint. Now Gary Isles, Andre, and Liepchivs or something like that, and John Mueller kind of take, and Miley Oye and Zeneb, they take over this kind of role. They're all people in the quality web spam team. The quality team, the webmaster trends analysts. They're all webmaster trends analysts. A lot of them in the Zurich office. Two of them anyway. Andre's in the Dublin office, I believe, and I'm not sure where the other ones were. So, okay, so let's go and answer the next question here. There's an e-commerce website in the Canadian market. If we can take a look at it, sure. This is the Canadian market, even though it says in the URL. This is weird. Okay, so anyone who's just tuning in now, we're doing SEO audits and analyses on sites. We're taking a look at sites and trying to give some SEO advice best we can. So we're going to crawl around this site kind of like crazy here and take a quick look to see how things are going. If you have any sites you want us to take a look at, by all means, put them. Make sure you do a /Q and put the questions in there so we can take a look at this stuff. And so I can pick it out from the chat on the side, because the chat on the side is sometimes very hard to figure out what is going on. So I'm assuming because this is from Canada, you want to rank in Canada. So I'm going to use a speed tester from Montreal. Okay. So I've been taking a look at this site a little bit while I've been talking here. So you got 475 results in Google. That's good. So it looks like you're selling bean bags in Canada. Fantastic. But however, the problem is the first thing I see when I go to this URL is I see a...
No H1.
Sorry?
No H1.
No H1. Yeah, you definitely want to make sure your on page is done well. You want to have the keyword in the page name or in the title, and you want to have an H1 at the top that has preferably the keyword in it, or a good title to tell people what they're going to find on that site. The first thing I see when I go to this web page is I see a pop-up. That's not a good idea. That's a definite low quality signal. Anything
well, not for a homepage.
Sorry?
Not for a homepage, but maybe the blog.
Yeah, I would not recommend having a pop-up at all. I would use something that maybe pop-ups on the right side, or something like a news ticker on the bottom. I would not have a pop-up or an interstitial that the user has to scroll or click past. Google has specifically mentioned not to do that it annoys users, and it's on my Panda list. Let me put, I have for the last few years, I've collected every single leak that Google has made on what is low quality from actual Google employees, and I've put it here on my website, themoralconcept.net/.
Let me add to that really quick, Josh. The reason why you usually don't want to do that is because Google's starting to take into consideration these days bounce rates, and that's going to improve. That's going to make your bounce rate go up, because when people see something like that, they're gonna want to bounce, and they're going to go to a different search result, and you don't want that to happen. Yeah. So if anything, if you have to have it, do it so that it's delayed, like 40 seconds or 50 seconds, where it doesn't look like they're bouncing right away. But yeah.
Yeah, I believe you're probably right, and I believe it's probably user metric based, and so your suggestion is probably good. The reason why I'm hedging my bets there is because for years I think it was an actual static, and there's some evidence to suggest it's possible that it's just a static crawl thing. If they see a pop-up, they're going to give you one check mark in the bad column. So I would preferably not even do a pop-up. Like I said, I would pop something up on the right side, or I would pop like a news ticker on the bottom. So the eyes will see it, and if they want it, they'll click it. but don't make them, don't take like the main screen, don't put CSS over everything, the interstitials like that. So if you want to check out my moralconcept.net Panda list, I put it there on the right side. I think I typed it out correctly. So other stuff I see here, once I click.
Yeah, I think you get two bad signals. You get both the Panda signal and you get the bounce rate. When you
it's
have a
possible.
Like that.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
Chase is probably right. It's probably just a user metric thing, but it could very well be a static thing. Like Google just says, we hate sites that have pop-ups. We have 40 trillion pages to sort between, and so tough crap. We don't like pop-ups, so we're just going to give you a 1 check mark in the bad column already.
Josh, another thing I noticed is they were trying to at some point rank for Beanbag in Toronto, and when I looked for their site through their site for a post about that or a page about that, there isn't really anything over for that query. So I think if they're going for local, I mean, that's a huge opportunity because local is where I get most of my traffic. And it's usually a good idea for people who are trying to sell products who can't target the huge markets instantly. So if you are trying to rank for that, I would definitely start creating pages around that area. And then even maybe invest in some search engine marketing and start with broad match and see what the different long tail queries people are typing in for those keywords, and then maybe build out content around that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. If you want to target Toronto and sell beanbag chairs to people in Toronto, yet you're in Montreal, you're going to have to make a page that is tailored to beanbag chairs in Toronto. The problem is that you could very quickly hit the doorway page threshold. And so you better have something very relevant and very interesting on that /beanbag Toronto page. Because if you just make a /beanbag Toronto page, 1, it'll probably never rank, and 2, you could get hit by Panda because of the doorway page problem, or a quality algorithm because of the doorway page problem. So it'd be best. So he says that we're located in Montreal, but we sell all across Canada.
Well, then in that case,
sorry, Chase?
I was just going to say, in that case, they should at least have a Google local listing and then maybe submit their site to Moz Local and start getting local indexing going on to at least start showing in the 3-pack if you don't want to optimize for local right now. But you can even take that local listing and point it at a sub page that you can create around that city. And I'm currently doing that with one of my pages on my site. It's not the home page. It's actually targeted to international, but the sub page is targeted to a specific area. And I have all of my local indexing sites pointing to that subpath.
Yeah, so part of the problem right now is that Google knows that you're in Montreal. I saw it somewhere. Or no, maybe I just selected Montreal in my speed test. So yeah, you definitely, if you want to target Canada, then Canada is the geographic region you're targeting. You want to have an hreflang for Canadian language, preferably. You want to make sure you have .ca, so that's fine. But you may even want to specify Canada in your Search Console. And you want to definitely say clearly on your page, you service Canada, you ship anywhere in Canada, and that kind of a thing. And all the cities you specify, you might want to specify the different cities you service. But you can't really, it's very difficult to target unless you do what Chase just said, get like a local office of each area so that people in that area can find you. It's very difficult to target like Toronto unless you either the best thing to do would be get a local office in Toronto if you can, or then make that beanbag Toronto page. But you got to be careful. Someone also asked, what did I mean by the doorway threshold? I mean, you have to have unique content on that page that is justifiably worth being there. It can't just be, Toronto is a great city. It has a big sky tower and has the Raptors and blah, blah. Everyone in Toronto is considered, they think they're in the center of Canada, and they think that Toronto is the best city in Canada. You can't put that there because 1, it's false. No, that's actually kind of true. It's kind of I'm going to equivocate on that, but my point is that you have to have interesting content there that is not just like stock content, and otherwise you could get nabbed for that kind of thing. You'll probably never rank anyway.
Right. And it's great to share things about the city and why it's important to you and create really unique content. But if people are going there and they know that it's just complete BS, then they're going to be leaving the site and going to a different search result. And you don't want that to happen. So make sure that when you're doing your content, you make it as unique as possible. And you're not just creating doorway pages where it's just, here's the content, it's a paragraph, and you can find this anywhere else on the internet. Here's some links to the actual pages I want you to go to. You actually want to, make it as good as you can, but at the same time, not forcing it where people are just like, okay, what am I reading right now?
No, you're absolutely right. You can't. That is what the definition of thin content. That's definitely what is going to nab you for doorway pages. So the couple other things I noticed when I was here. One, you don't have any canonical tags set up, so you definitely want to have a canonical set up. Even just pointing to itself, that gives you very good negative SEO protection. There's some very bad negative SEO hacks right now. You need to have a canonical tag set up. So make sure you get that set up across your site. And I did a speed test as well, and it takes 7 seconds to start rendering the page and 3 seconds to get the first byte. So that's terrible. You can't have a page that's slow. You have 842 DOM elements. That's too many DOM elements. So again, and I tested it from Montreal. I used the Montreal speed test, and that's where you're located and presumably where a good of your customer base is.
Also, the H3 is humongous.
Yeah, and your H3, you don't want it to be this big. If you look in the chat, you only want one heading tag on your page, and that should be what the page is about. You don't want to stick keywords in an H2 or an H3. It's not going to give you a boost. My correlation reports show that conclusively, right? So there's some suggestions there for yourself. If you have any more questions, please contact us. Let me know. Okay, so let me go to just some basic questions, and I'll do another site after this. So the next site here is Lights on Graph. If you guys want to start checking these out, check out Lights on Graph, and then lightsongraphics.com. It's in the questions here, and I will start answering some basic questions in the meantime. So Mrs. Mom asks, so it seems like you're all saying our WordPress themes set up a certain type of script that we can set us up for failure with Google. We have to choose a theme that is good for SEO. Is that correct? Yes, that is completely correct. So your WordPress theme can help you or it can sink you. And
no matter what theme you use, you should go and examine what you've got when it's all said and done. Look at your plugins, look at everything, and presume that there's going to be problems that you have to go find and clean up. I wouldn't trust any theme to just do the whole job for me.
Right, yeah. And as I said, I have a huge bone to pick with WordPress plugins. Quite frankly, a lot of them are just written with 2008 in mind, and they just stuff your keywords in there, and that's not what you want to do. It definitely can hurt you. Okay, another question here is what role can YouTube play in SEO? YouTube can play a huge role in SEO. For example,
absolutely.
I'm ranked very highly on YouTube for any SEO query. It's what I decided to do originally when I started just consulting full time. You can boost YouTube. The way the web is moving is to watching video. I mean, you're here watching video right now. My face yammering on at you. Yammer, yammer, yammer. Blab, blab, blab. The web is moving to video, and people are watching more and more. They're consuming more and more hours of video as things move on. And people want tutorials, and they want help in video. So, and if you have a video that goes viral, it's a huge ranking signal. And I've done this for customers. We've gotten videos that have gone viral, and it's a huge. People start searching for your brand. People start clicking from that, going. If you have any embedded links, people click on that and go. So it's a huge bonus for SEO.
Another great thing too about YouTube is that you can. Well, first of all, it's the second largest search engine in the world. So why would you want to be included on something like that? And also is that you can do more than just make a video, right? You can get tons of views, increase your brand awareness through those views, promote your products, but also you can take those videos and you can do content breakdowns with a site called rev.com where you just submit the video, you pay like a couple bucks per minute, and you can take all that content, put it on a blog post and update your website because Google likes to see that you're updating your website. So not only that, but then you can take it and you can publish that content to a post, like a LinkedIn Pulse post, and notify your LinkedIn followers or your connections. You can also take it and use the new Facebook, or not new, but Facebook Notes, and post your content there. And really, you can take a lot of the things that are mentioned in the YouTube video and repurpose that and share it and distribute it on different social media platforms. And then ultimately, if you want to take it, you can maybe, what we're doing is we're taking all of our content that we're making and we're making it into a book. And we're going to send out copies to anybody that we talk to and mention them in the book and promote their brand as well. So,
yeah. So I've been looking at this lights on graphics. Do you guys have any suggestions for Robert here about his site for SEO stuff? I have some if you guys don't have any ready right off the top.
Which site? The one we were looking at before?
This lights on graphics one, I just put in the questions here.
Let me get a hold of that.
ISOnet? Oh, that one. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so I took a quick look. First off, I don't see any canonical tags here either. So as I just said, canonical tags are a great idea. I also see that you have title attributes stuffed full, like absolutely stuffed full. So like a sentence in there. So this is, something has gone wrong in your design, I think, possibly. So let me paste in here what I found. So take a look at this. See the title equals, and it's an entire like paragraph. So, this is, I'm not laughing maliciously. This is not going to be good for your SEO. As I said earlier in the program, you can't stuff your title attribute full of keywords, and you definitely don't want to have a whole paragraph in there. Yeah, you definitely want to take care of that. I know it's probably automatically getting put in there. Probably WordPress again. WordPress.
Wait, lights on. I only see lights on graphics in the title.
Yeah, I'm not seeing this paragraph thing, Josh.
That's the title. That title attribute I was talking about, not the title tag. The title attribute. So yeah, you probably want to take care of that. I also did a speed test on it. It's still waiting. If you want to tell us,
I see it.
Robert, tell us a bit more in the chat about your business, who you sell to. Are you an e-commerce site, I take it? I noticed that the design, now forgive me again, I'm not trying to be malicious, but the design does seem to be a little circa 1998 to me. But you say this is a test site? Okay, well, if it's a test site, fair enough. But if you wanted to make this site your main site, I'd be very careful. Google has been very specific that they like to rank modern design sites. So you don't want a site that looks like it's kind of from 1998. Users don't trust it. They make less purchases. It doesn't look as impressive. It's less trustworthy. And Google also could very well have a ranking factor just for older based sites. Because as I said early in the program, they have over 40 trillion pages to rank.
Hey, Josh, sorry to interrupt you. I got to go meet a client right now. So good job on the Blab. And make sure you post this on YouTube afterwards, man.
Sure. I will post this all over the place if I can figure out how to do it.
They send you an MP3 on your email afterwards.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll definitely upload this to YouTube then. Perfect. Okay. So thanks a lot, Chase. Everyone give Chase some props. Thank you very much, Chase.
Thank you, Chase.
Okay, so we have another open seat here if someone else wants to join in. We might go for another 10, 15 minutes, so get your questions in there if you want to have them answered. So let me just finish off with this lights on graphics. It's a active test site. Testing localization. Okay. So the other things I noticed is, yeah, it's got a bit of an older design. You're missing canonical tags. You're missing the title attributes are stuffed full. The speed test is taking a long time right now. So that's not going to work. So if you have any other questions, there's lots of, this is like a tenth of the SEO knowledge and SEO information that you need to be able to do this kind of stuff. So, obviously, this is not a full SEO audit. The SEO audits that I do takes at least 5 hours, and it gets into all of your statistics and stuff like that. So, and your user traffic and your conversions and bounce rates and title tags and much more important steps. So this is just a little taste, but I hope it helps out a little bit. So as I said, there's an open seat. If anyone wants to join in, You're free to join in and ask some questions. I'm going to answer some more questions as we go here. So seems like SEO in competitive categories is now converging on getting links from high domain authority sites like Huffington Post, things like that. Getting 10 links there seems to trump 100 links of domain 30 or domain authority of 30 or less. Do I see this trend continuing? That's a great question. Let me explain a little bit about this question. So what does DA mean? DA is an acronym from Moz. It was first popularized by the company called, it used to be called SEO Moz, now it's called Moz. And they have a bunch of link analysis tools with a bunch of factors built into those tools, and domain authority is one of them. And domain authority, more or less, is like the general page rank or the general link equity that this particular site has. Now, this person asks, do I think that big links from Huffington Post or Forbes are more important than links from a bunch of smaller sites? The short answer is no. I think that links from domain authority 30 sites would be great. Yes, it'd be better. Maybe like, I think it's like 10% better to get links from Huffington Post or Forbes. That's my short answer. The longer answer is I don't care. I don't care about links at all. Links is so 2008. I don't think links is that big of a factor. Google has admitted time and time again, links are no longer that big of a factor. For example, John Mueller was just asked in a Hangout earlier this month, if I put one link in the disavow file and then I remove it, is that a big deal? And he said, who cares? It doesn't even matter. One link in your disavow file is nothing, even if it's a link from like a huge site. So Google is directly admitting that links mean almost nothing, or the disavow file means almost nothing, one or the other. And so quite frankly, my answer there is don't worry about the links. I don't mean that from a white hat, I'm just telling you what Google says perspective. I'm saying links really don't matter anymore. I'd be much more worried about conversions and things like that. And he asks in the chat, if it's not links, then what is the factor? A bounce rate. User actions is more of a major factor. Links is only one of the offsite reference factors. And quite frankly, I don't think that links is that big of a factor. I have some data to prove this. I have lots of links from Google to prove this. And like I said, I have a site ranking. Check my video I posted earlier. I have a site that is ranking for queries that get 20,000 impressions a month with 0 links. That's 0 links. I mean, literally has no links at all. And I'm ranking for highly competitive queries. And if you follow other SEOs in this space, they would agree that links is not really a big factor anymore. Quite frankly, the only people who still think links is a factor are people who are selling them, who are selling links or who have link tools that are analyzing link stuff. Dave, would you agree?
Yeah, and this is almost like falling on my own sword, because I do sell SEO and links as part of that, but it's such a small part in the sense of, it's like asking the question, how do I become a good businessman? How do I become a good businesswoman? How do I win on, what's Donald Trump's program? How do I be like him? It's like, okay, how do I be a good president? All those kinds of questions. This is like those questions that how do I rank? Are links important? Is that the factor? And people gravitate toward what is the secret? What is the one thing, the magic pill, the painkiller that I need? And what's the shortcut? And there isn't one. The best shortcut will end up being somebody who's competent, like Josh. And the holistic approach, that's right. The holistic approach to... I
paid him to say that. I slipped him $20 to say that earlier.
That's right. The holistic approach is the idea of what is your strategy? What is Google trying to get? It's understanding what their business model is and how can I align with that? Because Google is an enormously huge waterfall. And SEOs typically are trying to fight their way up, swim up like salmon upstream. They're trying to swim up the waterfall, and Google's pushing down and pushing down and pushing down. And then you get the guy that gets in a canoe and finds the right place and just goes over the rapids, and they're going, faster than they want to go because they're aligned with the current. And that's the game with Google. And if you align with what Google's looking for, yes, links will help you. If you're fighting your way uphill, you can get all the links you want. It will make zero difference. I have a link from Huffington Post in an article in context. And honestly, I did not see any change in my website ranking because I got a link from HuffPost. I'm sure it didn't hurt. It's a validation signal. But it's that idea of, okay, do I get high DA links? Will that help? And I dabble in this and more. And I can tell you that, first of all, DA is a reflection. It's not the authority. It's just Moz's analysis of a website, and they're looking from the outside like all the rest of us. They're not in Google. They don't know what Google's algorithm is doing right now, and they have limited resources as far as how they can crawl and how they analyze. And if they have the exact same answer as Google, then I'll eat my shoe on the air.
Then they have the same search engine that Google had. So I invite you to join us, Dev Shapiro, if you want to join us. I have an open seat if you want to talk, if you have a microphone. But he mentions here, and this is another good point, that a lot of correlation reports still show, including Moz's correlation report, still show that links is the #1 correlation to ranking. No, that's false. That's not how you read a correlation report. 2, correlation, of course, is not causation. The major brands happen to have a lot of links, but I have evidence that refutes that because I have sites ranking with 0 links, and I know SEOs with sites ranking with 0 links. So yes, because the sites that are still ranking have probably been there for years and probably bought a lot of links, and probably still have a lot of links. But because I have I would say, okay, I have my own correlation software, so I can see that other things are correlating highly with rankings as well. And I'm not saying links are not a signal. They are still a signal. They're still an off-page signal, but they're not the only off-page signal. And quite frankly, Google can't use links anymore because the web is moving away from links. We're moving to social. We're moving to stuff like that. When is the last time your mom fired up her blog and made a link to something? Never. It never happens, right? So by all means, join us if you want to keep talking about this, but I'm going to move on to some other questions. What is the best way to SEO a blog post to get it to rank? Wendy asks. Wendy, the answer is the blog post has to be super interesting. I would have a top 5. I would have like a too long, don't read, or like a top 5 things that you're going to find this blog post at the top. I would have the keywords in the H1. I have the keywords in the title, preferably the keywords in the URL. I would have no more and no less than that. I repeat, I would have no more and no less than that. Of course, it's going to be on a blog that is authoritative, that people like, that people are going to, and watch your bounce rates and watch your social shares. And that's going to be, in my opinion, the most important thing. Next question. Tim's asked us a bunch of questions. Thank you very much, Tim. He says, I don't understand the importance of having other websites in my topic space mentioning my products and websites. If I sell automotive parts, it's intuitive, the benefit of having other automotive websites mentioning my products. But what if I blah, 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 yes, it talks about. So, yeah. So I agree. When I'm talking about topical mentions, you want to get it on other websites related to you. So if you sell automotive parts, then you want the Walmart.com automotive pages to mention you. You want the Amazon.com automotive pages to mention you. You want Wikipedia pages on automotive to mention you. You want Huffington Post on automotive and Forbes on automotive to mention you. These are the kind of, preferably, or other big blogs on automotive and stuff like that mention you. So that's what I was talking about for URL mentions. Let's see how many of these I can blast through. Mrs. Mom asks, since you don't like WordPress, what do you like? I like WordPress as a content management system just fine. I just hate the WordPress plugins that still think it's 2008 and try and spam in your keywords in there. So that's a problem. Julio Rodriguez. Okay, so he has a site, a new e-commerce store for our fire alarm parts distribution. Could you give me a quick idea where to start on SEO? For sure. So Julio, I notice you're at store.something. Let me take a quick look at this here. So if in case you're wondering what the heck we're doing, this is a Blab I want to do every week on SEO, internet marketing, social media, stuff like that. And people can, by all means, come onto the show and ask us SEO questions. Show us your site, and I'll give you some free SEO advice. Again, it's just a little tidbit of what we can do. Julio, I'm trying to go to your site here, but it doesn't come up. I've been trying to load it that whole time I've been talking. So whether or not it actually fires, I've still got a circly on Chrome. It doesn't respond. So by all means, if you've got the URL wrong, post it again. But I can tell you right now, from an SEO perspective, that's going to be bad. He says here, it's for some reason it's very slow the first time. Okay, that's terrible. That's bad for SEO. There's your first bit of SEO advice. The site has to respond under 3 seconds every time. Not only the first time, the second time, the third time, the 667th time. It has to respond under 3 seconds every single time. So that's going to be a very important thing for SEO. Next thing, Tim has another question here. If you have other questions, if you want to join us, there's an open seat. By all means, and people might get tired of my voice and Dave's voice here, even though Dave has a very nice speaking voice, they get tired of it. Tim asked, in the previous video, you talk about the importance of keywords in the title tag, yet when I Google best coffee in Seattle, the title of the #1 page is where to drink coffee in Seattle right now. Yeah, so keep in mind that Google has algorithms that they will replace the title tag. Will replace the keywords in the title tag. My cat will meow angrily at you if you don't have a nice title tag. Did you see my wife walk past and the cat follows her? That's hilarious. It's a madhouse. So you want to have, you don't necessarily want to have the keyword in the title tag. You need to have a call to action in your title tag, and preferably you'd have the keyword in the title tag. So for example,
I would add this: if you were Google, Tim, and you were trying to find out what coffee shop or where you could get the best coffee in Seattle, would you necessarily go and pick the site that says best coffee in Seattle in the title tag, or would you try to look at other signals, reviews, citations, people's opinions to try to find out what other people are saying is the best coffee? Because I can wave my hands in the air and say, best SEO service right here. And it's like, well, what are other people saying? What about this guy? Maybe he doesn't say that. He just does it. And other people say, I really got good results from Josh. And Dave is like, okay, but I mean, it's Google is trying to do the same thing to figure out what really is best, and not just who gains some keywords or titles or SEO signals. And somebody asked me the question, everyone gives us a brief statement of what SEO does, but not what it is or helps us understand it. I plan on researching SEO after this because I've been blogging for a long time, and SEO should not be the primary factor of my site ranking, but I see that it is. I need to understand it. I would say that SEO is not the primary factor. And this is from an SEO guy who makes good money doing SEO, and SEO is not your primary factor. Not. And I have ranked people on page 1 as high as possible for key terms, and they did not sell because that's all they understood was the SEO, and they did not know how to market. They did not know how to sell, and they failed. And they gave me a lot of money, and I kept it because I tried to push them in the right direction. And so now when people are coming to your site, here's your analytics. You have a stream of people every day coming to your site looking for something. What are you offering them?
Mr. Wonderful.
And what they offered.
Hello.
Did you get it?
Yeah, I just had a question. It seems like the big takeaway is to become the authority in something, and then that's how I guess you just drive the real traffic and the real organic stuff. And so if I was, I do these art pillows, and I try to be an authority as an illustrator or graphic designer, and I guess the best way to do it is just the blogs, the videos, and just when you do that, are you just kind of like using these key terms to try to, to use this to define yourself an authority, and like I do this, I do that, and I mean, is that the way? I mean, I guess the best way to drive the people you want to come to your site.
That's a great question. being an authority on a topic obviously is one way. I tried to be a bit of an authority on SEO and internet marketing and Google. I've even gone so far as to do a TED Talk on it and to have a documentary coming out on it. So I've spent considerable time and money on it and devoted a lot of my brain space on that kind of thing. But that's not the only way. I mean, you have to be awesome at what you do. And I hate that euphemism. It's so general that it's almost not helpful. And so when it comes to SEO, and I would have to disagree a little bit with Dave, what he said there is that I would say SEO is the main thing for your ranking. It is the main thing for your organic presence, but not in the ye olde 2008 sense. Anything you do to your website is going to optimize it for search engines or not. So that's what I mean in the broadest sense of SEO. And so you've got to pay attention to SEO. You want to be an authority. You want to be, the best thing you can be. You want to be awesome at what you do, but you have to watch the metrics. And this is what Dave was saying, so I agree with Dave. You have to watch the metrics, and you have to be so metric minded and watch what's my bounce rate, what's my click-through rate, how am I doing on each page, what are my pogos taking on my site, what are my conversions, are they converting on these pages, and optimize the design and optimize the user interface, push things up to the top, make a big button so they can click and convert. Because that SEO is conversion, is marketing, it's all the same thing now.
Okay. All right, great. I think this is a great Blab. I hope you continue doing what you're doing. Thanks to the both of you.
Hey, my pleasure. Join us again.
Thank you. I would say, too, that authority and popularity. I mean, you look at political terms, you look up anything to do with politics, Bill Maher. He's not an authority in politics, but he is dang popular. And that's that's one of the metrics, is popularity.
No doubt. How are you doing today? The right way. What's your name?
My name is Angie.
Hi, Angie. How are you doing?
And I will admit, I'm probably a baby compared to all you guys and what your experience has been with all this nerdy stuff. But I will admit, I'm still a little old school, meaning that I like word of mouth. I like paper, and I like exposure, right? But it's still the traditional newspaper, TV, radio. So all this internet stuff is still rather new, but my website is not meant to bring in business. My website is to educate. So I find a problem and then I give them the website. So people really don't have to go looking for it. They got to find me first.
Right.
So I just don't know how you guys could be helpful to me.
Well, I don't know. Maybe helpful to you. But I would agree that, your website doesn't need to rank highly in Google necessarily. There's plenty of business strategies for the internet these days that the web doesn't even factor in. People are building business strategies on Snapchat or on Instagram or on Facebook especially, or on Twitter or on Blab. There's plenty of other areas you can be that you don't need to be doing SEO, or you don't need your website to rank highly in Google. So, I totally agree with you, and I appreciate your thoughts on that, definitely.
There was a question. Now you made me forget what it was.
Okay. Well, you can think about it while I answer this one here. Do I have a stream schedule for this topic? I hope to be doing this every Friday, maybe around 10 a.m. Pacific time. So if again, what we're doing is we're talking SEO, we're talking social media, and general internet marketing nerdery. And if you have any questions or you want me to take a look at give you any SEO advice, I'm happy to do that. We're going to close this down in about 5 minutes or so I can get some lunch. So if you have any questions or sites you want me to look at, please hurry up and post them in here. Finally, Dev Shapiro, we were having an awesome discussion about links earlier. He mentions, if I am so confident, that's me, Mr. Confident.
Oh.
If I'm so confident that links don't matter, can I share any examples of websites that achieved high rankings without high DA links besides my video. But he doesn't believe that this is possible. And he means, by link, he means anything, including a blog mention, an author attribution link, etc. So I see part of the reason why we disagree here is a bit of a misunderstanding. I would agree with you that text mentions and no-follow links and brand mentions are a ranking signal as well. So when I say links, I mean do follow links. I mean actual anchor tag with not a no-follow attached. So in that sense, there's a bit of a misunderstanding between us in that we're agreeing a little bit that, yeah, you need these offsite references. If I had to break down the ranking factors after RankBrain, you can watch my 2016 video for this as well. What is my 2016 video? Let me see if I can get it here. No, that's not my 2016 video. I'll have to remember what the URL is for it. But I do an SEO video every year of a course on how to do SEO. I did one for 2015. I did one for 2016 as well. And in that I talked about, you definitely need these offsite factors. And if I was going to break down the ranking factors after RankBrain, because Google admitted that RankBrain is the third biggest. Their artificial intelligence is the third biggest ranking factor. And so if you're going to break them down, the first one would be on-page relevance. The second one would be off-page references, including links, but also text mentions, no-follow links, maybe even social mentions, stuff like that. Then finally, the third one is user metrics based off of RankBrain. So yeah, I would agree that that you need some of those factors. But again, and it depends on the vertical. Some verticals, yes, you're going to need these high domain authority links. If you want to rank for payday loans, or if you're going to rank for some highly competitive queries like Louis Vuitton purses or something like that, yeah, you're going to need some high quality links, right? That's just going to be the way it is, because you're going to have to compete with brands, with huge brand sites that have a lot of these links as well. But if anything, I get it. I don't mean to always be referring back to just the site I mentioned in my video, my 2015 video. But quite frankly, that's the example that I have. And all the other sites that I have, I can't really share because they're mostly from my Black Hat friends who heaven forbid, and they don't want to share these sites. They don't even want me to mention their names, so I can't even mention their name. But they do exist. These are not just the name. These are not just voices in my head. Those are other things that tell me to do other stuff. Those are the other entities. But yeah, so I can't really share these sites, but I do have sites that are like for queries, for search queries that have around 20,000 impressions a month. That's pretty high competitive. And this site is ranking with 0 links. And so watch my 2015 video. I share that information there. So, folks, we're at noon. It's time for me to go eat lunch. You guys have any final stuff? Oh, I have one last question here from Wendy. Maybe I have time to answer it. What are my thoughts on getting guest bloggers on your site? Is it a good or bad thing? I can see two sides of it. Quite frankly, guest bloggers on your site are great if they come with an audience built in. If they don't come with an audience built in, then there's no reason really why you would want them on your site, unless they're such a good writer and they're doing it for you for free or really low cost that they can give you great content that people are going to like for free or low cost. What do you think about that, Dave?
Yeah, I remember Matt's one of his final declarations was guest blogging is dead. We're done with it. Don't try it. But I think that's for SEO. I mean, look at marketing. All of a sudden, if you can get heck, if I could get the right people to guest blog, great. It helps my audience. It helps their audience. That's a good thing. It's not, and it may help with SEO. Just because Matt says something is dead doesn't mean it's dead. But I think it's about focus.
Yeah, I think for that he was referring to doing that to get links. So Wendy was talking about getting guest bloggers onto her site to write for her, and Matt Cutts was talking about using guest blogging to get links, link backs pointing to you. That's definitely dead. Yeah. And in fact, it's harmful. It's potentially harmful. If you don't do it the right way, you can definitely hurt your rankings, especially when this new Penguin comes out. So thanks very much, everybody. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks very much to Dave and Chase and everyone else who jumped on the call and was able to talk. If you want any more information about SEO, by all means, follow me at Josh Bachynski on Twitter. Follow Dave at Dave Keys. You can also find more SEO videos for myself at youtube.com/jbachins. I'll put that in the chat. youtube.com/jbachins, where I have lots more SEO videos like this. And I hope to be able to do SEO clinics like this every week and help you guys out. And if you have any SEO questions, by all means, email me or contact me, and we'll try to help you out. So with that, thanks very much. We're going to sign off. Thanks very much, Dave.
Thank you.
It was my pleasure. And I don't know really how to stop a blab, so I'm just going to close the tab and hopefully it stops recording.
Yeah, I'm going to stop my
All right,
end
we'll
here.
see you guys next week. And if you have any questions, by all means, contact us.